Very welcome here today at MW Hiram Moore Park for this Lee Shopping Centre quarter final between Ballylinan and Graiguecullen in what is the wet and cold and windy O'Moore Park. And I'm joined today by Alan Malone. Everyone knows Alan. Alan, well known to everyone around Laois and beyond. And I suppose from our point of view to the viewers, I want to thank Paul Dargan because you're the lucky ones today, because today is so cold. It's the right day, to duvet day, to be sitting at home and watching these matches, and I hope you do enjoy it. But back to the serious thing, Alan, this is a huge game. Obviously it's a knockout quarter final. I know you know Graiguecullen inside out, but Ballylinan, I suppose, like wine, they've been getting better with age, it appears, and they're going to be a serious threat today in this game.
Yeah, so Lan, I think the conditions really make it a level playing field. It's going to the wind is swirling around the place. It's pouring rain. The pitch looks in good nick. But I suppose when we look at Ballylinan, the 3 games they've played, they've only conceded 8 points, 1-8 and 8 points in their 3. So defensively, they're obviously really well set up under Mick Lillis. Graig probably struggled to break down the heat the last day when they had a defensive system in place. So Mick Lillis, I'm sure, has his homework done on that, and he'll be trying to snuff out any sort of Graig attack. But again, handling errors are going to be crucial. Errors in around the defensive area could cost either team goals, and they're going to be hard come by. So it's going to be intriguing, yeah. But look, both teams would have aimed to be back here at the quarter-final stage. They're here now, so it's when everything steps up another notch. And
just a question to ask you, coming from a management point of view, and I know yesterday it appeared for us that Ballyfin, the 4-week break, it took them a little while, Ballyfin, to get going yesterday. Could that affect Graiguecullen, particularly that Ballylinan had come in and obviously on the back of a good win? Could that affect the team today?
Yeah, it could, and I suppose again, teams are looking at challenge games are not plentiful, obviously, with the whole restrictions and the way things are going. They would have had 2 weeks break between their last 2 games. So yeah, it's a new environment. I suppose any team over the past few years that has won their first 2 games has had a 4-week break. So it's not the new, I suppose, to either team. But like I say, I just think the conditions are so poor here today that both footwork and handling of the ball, if easy passes are conceded around the D, it's going to be punished. And in Ballylinan, who better than Gary Walsh to punish you? Like, we look at the scores, he's had over 70% of their scores so far. He's 2-4 the last day against Ballyrone. It was frightening, the scores he got. So that battle, Mark Timmins, is just going to be intriguing, and probably one that we people subscribing for alone to watch it. So two guys who are physically matched pretty well. And if Timo can keep Gary quiet, Graig have a fantastic chance. But like I say, he's not alone there with the Farrells backing him up, and their quick ball inside to him and Carl Dunn is going to be crucial if Ballylinan are to win this game.
Yeah, and I suppose finally, before we go to teams, I suppose for Mick Lillis' point of view, they've been able to defend Ballylinan because the ball up to Gary Walsh, in fair, he's been able to beat when there's been 2 or 3 marking him. This year he's just been able to beat them, so Mick Lillis can afford that his lads don't have to all bomb up the field that early. They can get there eventually, but Gary can do damage on his own. Huge.
Yeah, and I suppose again the question is, if Ballylinan are turned over around the middle third, can Graig catch them on the counter attack before they get their defensive system in place? Like I say, on a normal day, everything goes. You're hoping for handling errors to a minimum, but now it's anyone's game, and it could be a little bit of a lottery. One simple mistake could prove so vital. Scores are going to be so hard to come by when Ballylinan they've only conceded 8 points in the 3 games. Again, I think poor Leash's out of the 8, I think 6 of them were frees, so they're really set up defensively solid, and I think that will favour Ballylinan. So it's going to be, the conditions definitely favour Ballylinan, I think, from a defensive aspect, but can Graig, with their up front, movement and off the ball running, Brian Byrne will be crucial to that, and what he chips in with on the scoreboard.
Yes, and Brendan McCann is blowing the whistle there. I'm sure he's feeling the wet more than any of us. So we're going to go and look at the teams now, and we have a couple of changes that we know from the Graiguecullen team. So we're going to do the Graiguecullen team first, and in goal is Danny Bulger. Full back line, Owen Aylesbury, Mark Timmins and Martin Doyle. The half back line, Luke Aylesbury, Trevor Collins and Danny Aylesbury. Midfield is Jamie Sheehan. Paul Mulready is replaced by number 24, and that's Shane Shack O'Neill. Half forward line, Brian Byrne, Ross Alcock and Daniel O'Reilly Dicey. Full forward line, Ross Hennessy, Chris Hurley, and Ambrose Dorn was listed, but he's been out injured. He's replaced by number 17, Bobby Doyle. And on the Ballylinan team, the line out is we haven't heard any changes, but we'll keep an eye. If there does, we'll try and get them to you as soon as possible. So in goal, Podge Walsh. Full back line, Cathal Leonard, Seamus Lacey and Kevin Byrne. The half back line, Kieran Fennessy, Pádraig McAvoy and Eric Kenna. Midfield, two Farrell brothers, Alan Farrell and Jamie. Half forward line, Cathal Fennessy, Liam Keeley and Larry right outside him. Kieran Farrell, Gary Walsh and Cathal Dunn make up the full forward line. As I said, Brendan McCann is the referee for today's match. Would you play with the win or without it, Alan, to be honest with you, in the first half?
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we on commentary now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know, Sol. I think, you know, do you have an opportunity to settle into the game and find your way if you play with it? Trying to keep things nice and tight. Against in the second half, will the win change? I don't know. Maybe you take it and you play with it to start and get a foothold in the game. Like I say, I don't think it's going to favour either team really. I suppose when we look at Lee Timmins probably losing out on the last day through injury, he's a huge loss in the Graig forward line. There'll probably be a bit of a reshuffle now with Bobby Doyle. He'll probably come out the field into more of a half back line midfield role. So how they set up is going to be intriguing. Chris Hurley had a really important role the last day in his delivery, a quick ball inside. It's proven fairly well. So his role at the centre forward is going to be difficult.
So we see playing with it, we can see that Ballylinan, the wind is with them at their backs, as we see Podge, P McAvoy goes to the middle of the field with Alan Farrell, and Shaq O'Neill is taking up a position there beside Jamie Sheehan for Graiguecullen, and Brendan McCann is going to get this game underway, and up the ball goes, and who's going to win? The P-man did his job, but it broke straight to Farrell, and Farrell, of course that was Jamie there, out to Keeley, back again to Pádraig McAvoy outside to Farrell, but Timmons there and Gary Walsh slipped, I think, even though Mick Lillis is calling for something different. Brendan McCann is already having words with Mick Lillis, and this is going to be an interesting battle, and so already they're not playing. So that's a bit of gamesmanship, I suppose, Alan, is what you call there.
Yeah, and this is probably a needless free from Owen Aylesbury, just delayed on the ball. Scoring zone, again, Gary off, he might go off the ground here with this one, Pat. Ballylinan playing with the breeze. But it's moving from left to right, so he's going to have to get his shooting practice target going here fairly quickly.
So Gary Walsh steps up. We're not going to say he'll get it or not, but you'd expect him, a man of what he's been on fire this year with scoring wise. This is an important kick from to get underway, and that goes straight over. No problem from that time, Alan.
Yeah, brilliant score, and it'll just settle him down. He said initial slip inside, Timo won the first ball, it came in, but that just gets Gary off the mark here.
Danny Bulcher, been super all year in fairness for Graiguecullen. Great goalkeeper, takes kick out, it goes low and out to the middle, but it goes straight to Alan Farrell. Arnold picks it up, moving out again, been tackled. He turns back again to Lacey, who's up to give him the hand. Back out to Keeley. Keeley back in the middle, that's a dangerous ball. Pete McAvoy gets it, but down with Trevor Collins, and Trevor as he would, but no bother from to claim that one. Trevor gets it, goes by Brian Byrne, comes back to Cathal Leonard up here to Alan Farrell. Farrell going the wing, has the pace, it's side to Cathal Dunn dispossessed well by Bobby Doyle in the middle to Trevor Collins, back to Bobby Doyle outside here to Brian Byrne, and Byrne out to Jamie Sheehan. There's a man up in the wing and he plays him outside with Luke Aylesbury. He's looking up and he comes back into the middle. Back to Sheehan. They're going to steady. Ballylinan have already filtered well back. Shaq O'Neill still remaining out here in position. And Brian out here comes. So Martin Doyle tries to set off, looking at a gap in front of him. Is there no gap yet? They're forced back to Trevor. Trevor took the ball off Dicey. Is it going over the top? He looked at it, Trevor. He thought about it. Shaq had gone in there a bit free. Didn't give it into him. They're still working it. Bobby Doyle now. What'll he do? He'll set it up. Nearly got caught for possessing, but he got it back. Bobby's going to pop it aside to Trevor. Trevor can get off now, and there goes Luke Aylesbury. Went out of his hands, but it goes favourably for them. Brian Byrne, is he going to get fouled? He does, absolutely. I think that's what Brian knew was going to happen to him if he wasn't going to get a point, Alan.
Yeah, used experience, dropped the shoulder inside, and I think it might have been Larry Keeley just committed the foul. And Graig going with kind of a two-man inside line from the start with Danny Aylesbury and Ross Hennessy. Ross is finding himself probably the lone man in those last couple of attacks, whereas on the opposite end it's kind of similar. It's Andy McAvoy leading the line on top of the big square, and Gary is coming out on top of the D, being marked by Mark Timmins.
And Brian Byrne makes no doubt about that, pops it straight over the bar, and that's a great score, and that'll settle Graiguecullen's nerves if they had any, but that'll definitely get him on. So it's 1 point all, 3.5 minutes gone in the wet and windy O'Moore Park, and the wind is favouring Ballylinan in their backs at the moment. It goes straight out here. Up goes Jamie Farley. He catches that cleanly. And he got trying to pop it off. His brother Alan was gone, and he got it, but that was well intercepted, well read there. And he dropped him, hard looked him there for Ross Alcock, but he kept in play back to Bobby Doyle. Bobby go across, and Timmins has it. Timmins gets away, and Timmins will probably say go. No, he decides to stay back because he'll have enough of a job to do as Trevor, enough to take it on beside Luke Aylesbury going to the wing now. Trevor's outside him again. Collins still looking for the option. They're not going to panic yet. Jamie Sheehan coming with it outside to Luke Aylesbury, back to Jamie. So they're playing patient keep ball. I suppose once they have the ball, the others can't score. Back to Bobby Doyle. Coming out here is Martin Doyle, but he didn't play them. Jamie Sheehan, he's looking for the option. No option on yet. Dicey is coming, claiming not getting it. Bobby Doyle, now Ballylinan's had to press out on them. Very slow build up here. Ross again, Alcock over to Shaq O'Neill. Back to Alcock. He drops it out of his hands. That's like a bar of soap out there today. In fairness, they're well able to maintain it so far. Luke Aylesbury on a lot of ball up that wing there, looking for to try and get the breakthrough, and maybe they get it now to Chris Hurley. Hurley turns back around and Shaq O'Neill is on it. Shaq got a lucky break, pops it across to Jamie Sheehan. Now they're on the break. His break opening up from him. He's trying to get on the left boot. Can he use on the left? He stays going, takes a shot, and that skimmed across it, Alan. How far away was that? That wasn't too far away, Alan.
No, it wasn't.
Great move.
It was probably his hop, so that caught him. He hopped and it just slipped away from him, but they're still on the attack here.
Here they come. That's Trevor Collins back out again. Comes to Brian Byrne. Byrne Luke Aylesbury. Back out it comes to Hurley. They're starting again. They're going to try and find this probe. They're lively, Graiguecullen, at start. So Bobby Doyle to Hurley. They're staying moving and doing absolutely working hard. Lacey comes in there with a big hit and got it. Crossed here to Dicey. Dicey takes a shot, but that drops into Podge Walsh's hands, and he'll deal with that handy. So now Ballylinan are going to try and attack. They're all back, but there's two of them still up. You still have you see number 18 came in there for Andy McIlvaine, and here's Byrne across, and that's a great goal. Missed out on that, and that came from Ross Hennessy. And while I was looking at Ballylinan to see what was up ahead, Alan, you saw that?
Yeah, no, and it was Trevor. It was Trevor who intercepted the loose hand pass. And he saw the run inside, popped it to Ross Hennessy, and it was a lovely little dink into the far. He didn't have much room to get it, much room for error. Brilliant goal, and like we said before the game, the handling errors around the half back line is going to be so crucial to deciding who wins this game, because it's such a slippery surface.
Yeah, Bobby Doyle got it, now came to Alcock onto Trevor. Trevor opening up now in the middle. They have the hand up. Keeley comes, and did he tackle him or foul him? No, says Brendan McCann. Trevor still has it. Puts it back out here. Out to Martin Doyle. Doyle across to Luke Aylesbury. He's breaking through again. There's nothing on their minds when you to get a score here, but that goes to the left of mind. Crucial enough miss, but on a day like today, you'll forgive him, Alan.
Yeah, and we're looking at the Ballylinan setup. So they're not dropping back in on top of the diesel. They're holding the line across the 45.
Yeah. It's
1-on-1 inside with Ross Hennessy. So while we're saying they're set up defensively really solid, they're not dropping too deep. Graig better than they did the last day against the Heat. They're moving the ball side to side. They're looking for runners to break the line, and it's a lot better than they had to say. The Heat really frustrated them the last day. So positive start from Graig.
Jamie Farrell catches that one clean again. That's the second one, straight inside now to Andy McAvoy, who I don't know who he replaced, but he's on the Ballylinan team. They didn't tell us beforehand, but that's nothing unusual for any team this day, not to tell us who's actually playing. But anyway, it's coming back out to Liam Keeley. Keeley outside to Cathal Fennessy. Fennessy back to Keeley. He comes across to Cathal Dunn. Dunn back out here to Larry Keeley. P-Man was looking for it, but it comes to Jamie Farrell. That's a low aimless kick, and he holds his hands up straight away and apologises for that. Mick Lillis won't be happy with that, Alan.
No, and look, I suppose Mick, he set them up really well defensively. He can't legislate for a loose hand pass like that coming out of defence. Like I say, with conditions that are in it. So they find themselves in the back foot now with a goal that they would have fancied themselves to hold out. But the Graig running off the ball and popping that hand pass over the top is definitely playing to fruition for them at the moment. Not a whole lot of ball going inside to Gary, a couple of wasteful kick passes away, and it's just hitting that ground and it's skidding away. So It's going to have to be popped in front of him. But like I say, his hands are full now with Mark Timmins and Timo playing him from the front.
Danny Welch go out and he slips to the ground. He gets it. Chris Hurley got it. He didn't get up off the ground, even though the referees on the sideline say he did, but they're going to claim it. They're coming. That's Kieran Fennessy there. Was judged to have been fouled. Back Jamie Farrell wants to get the ball underway straight away, and he does. He goes down to Cathal Fennessy again. Fennessy goes straight through. Be tracked by Aylesbury. Luke Aylesbury. He's still going. Still has it. Back out to Jamie Farrell. Jamie out to Kieran Farrell. Farrell out to Larry Keeley. Larry, and they go back to where they're going. To Seamus Lacey has it out. They're going to try and set up again. Graiguecullen are all back there now. Then that's well intercepted. He slipped and timely and uncharacteristic for Seamus Lacey, but Brian Byrne really pounced in on that. And that's what you want, Alan. This fella's awake on a day like today.
Yeah, and again, his footwork cost him. Brought him into the tackle, and it was turned over.
Jamie Sheen sets it off again now. Now they're going. He's opening up from Ballylinan, trying to get back, but they're back there. Right, Keeley, Liam Keeley trying to do the tackling. The referee's hands up for a free. And this is where the disadvantage might work out for it. Does. Brian Breen nearly got caught on his going. He's turned back out to his right, pops it across here. Back again it comes to Brian. Very congested area. Jamie Sheen going to hold it, but Graiguecullen could end up losing this, and they do. As Larry Keeley breaks out with it. Probably got in their way, Alan, there that time, I think. But Liam Keeley comes out, and Fennessy has it now. Kieran Fennessy. Out to Alan Farrell. Alan Farrell back to Keeley. Great tackling by Graiguecullen. Chris Hurley to go in. Brian Byrne, and this could be dangerous for them. Who's Brian going to pick out? It does, but that was a vital interception by Cathal Leonard there. That was huge, Alan, for them. There was goal written all over that if it got through.
It was a great tackle. The three of them wrapped them up and they turned them over, and the hand pass was just intercepted then.
Well, Cathal Dunn trying to break away here, trying to break from the tackles of Owen Aylesbury. Out it comes to Alan Farrell. Alan gets control of the ball, takes the kick, but that was a bit rushed, but he could have got a 45 out of it. But that's what happens on the day like today. But Cathal probably shouldn't, or Alan shouldn't have kicked it in the first place, but he's after getting a 45 out of it.
No, it probably wasn't the shot to take on, and he says he's lucky to get a 45 from it. So that's going to be a great battle as well, so with Alan and Trevor, two really athletic guys. They love to carry ball. Again, both of them crucial to how their teams play. So and
lads that know each other real well and would have been in county marking each other in training games and all that. All the same with Gary and Mark. All this stuff is, they do this day in, day out, and they love it, and we love watching it. And Gary Walshaw is going to love this opportunity, I think, to try and peg back the score, because they haven't scored for a few minutes now since Graiguecullen's goal. So Graiguecullen lead the goal in a point to 1 point for Ballylinan with 11.5 minutes nearly gone. Gary Walsh trying to put their second score on the board. He'll have a good effort at this anyway. Mark Timmins tries to guide him the way in. Is that dropping short? No, drops straight over the bar.
Yeah, it's positive, Sol, and like I said, that's their second score now with the wind. They need to keep the scoreboard ticking over, definitely when they're playing with this breeze, because it's going to be difficult enough in the second half against it.
So Danny Bulger with the kick out again. It's all stacks up, so congested in the middle now. It's like that stack up kick out, and everyone runs out to the corner, out to the wing to try and get it. I'm sure that's a Sevy Do move if ever I saw one. No, Pat Critchie started that years ago before, but anyway, it works sometimes.
Yeah, not this time, unfortunately.
No. So that again, the ball dropped out of Cathal Fennessy's hands, out over the line. Graiguecullen thankful to get that position back, because they had lost it as Bobby Doyle brings it back to Shaq O'Neill. Across here to Ross Alcock. They build again. Dicey's waiting out here if it comes to him. Hasn't come to him yet this wing. They've gone up the far wing most of the time with Luke Aylesbury. They're still going that wing as Jamie Sheen goes there again, and there's that man Aylesbury again, free, left out trying to build as Keeley backs off him. Brian Byrne comes from the inside, sweeps around behind him. He's coming back again to Sheehan, and Jamie back to Shaq O'Neill. Going to try, and they're all trying, just probing to see will the gap come and who will make the gap. Trevor might do it, but he's been forced back. This could be danger for now as the two Keeleys pounce in on him, and P-Man tried to get it, but Trevor has a knee steady the ship, and if he sees a gap he's going to go for it. It was well dispossessed, and Jamie Farrell got in a hand there and made a great dispossession. That was vital for them there, and they start off again with Cathal Leonard back to that's Cathal Leonard now, and that's Keeley. Liam Keeley onto Cathal Dunn. Dunn is a bit far out from goal to be a threat yet to them. He's been brought out from the goal, but he can score if he gets it. As Jamie Farrell puts it across to Kieran Farrell into Keeley. That's Larry Keeley. He still has it. There's options out in the wing, and it's very bunched. Very bunch, Alan, when you look in, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But Pat, the two Keeleys are really covering huge ground. Oh, gone.
Yeah.
The two Keeleys, Pat, just Larry and Liam, they're getting back in front of the D, the two of them, clogging space left and right of it. But they're also pushing up really quickly to give support to the Ballylinan attack. So they're clocking up huge ground already in the opening 14 minutes. That ball inside again, hit the surface and just skidded away from Gary. There's not much room for error, Pat, on that inside ball. It has to be really good quality, 5 yards left or right.
So they're stacking up again for the kick out. Sometimes fellas can hide in there as well. Not everyone runs over it. But anyway, they'll do run, but Danny wasn't ready for it. The run was a bit early, but of course Tamelessly, I think that's Martin Doyle that picks it up. Ballylinan wait for him to come. They'll wait for Luke either to come. So no really movement. He's looking up. The options are there's one, and Ross Alcock makes a nice break through there now. Now could they capitalise on it? Who's coming to the runners? Trevor's not up there yet. Ball across in here to Danny Aylesbury, and did he pick the ball off the ground? Is that what Brendan McCann said?
Yeah, Brendan was facing it. It looked harsh from where we were, but again we were behind Danny.
So he's bringing the ball up about 20 metres or maybe more. Jamie's making great use of it as Brendan McCann's back was turned to him. So and they move it on. Jamie Cute is back out here and come across here to Pádraig McAvoy. Could that be intercepted? No, nearly was. Bobby Doyle was waiting for it, didn't get it. Jamie Farrell gets in return. You see, said his hand was held by Trevor Collins, and that's a free that Gary Walsh will fancy, Alan.
Yeah, he will. The last one, I know McLillis was screaming for it to go in direct inside to Gary. They decided to go sidewards with it, and have won a free from that passage of play. But just while he's setting this up, Pat, we'll give a shout out to the Graig under 16 girls. They're playing the county final today against Bridget's. I know Mark Timmins' daughter Caitlin, she's usually at all these games.
She would be, absolutely, yeah.
So the best luck to Graig in that one at 3 o'clock.
As Gary takes the kick, but he slipped as he kicked it, and obviously didn't get his. I think we break for a water break, and we do, and not as if there wasn't enough water falling out of the sky. We have a bit of more for them to come.
Yeah, so we'll just take that minute, Pat, and I suppose it's a chance for McLillis and Kevin Duke to kind of have a look and take stock. I suppose they'll probably be trying to reiterate to both teams to keep the ball out of contact, to work it through the hands. Like I said, when lads are taken into contact and a hand comes on, the ball is spilling. So he's trying to keep the ball moving fast and break the lines. And like I said, dodging that contact, securing possession.
Yeah, so we're kind of looking at some of the stats there. Emer there is out there, or Sullivan's out to giving us there plenty of information. But so the Ballylinan had 3 wides. I suppose the last one there was Gary's kick, if we count as a wide. And they won 2 of their kick-outs and lost 1 of them. But don't force errors. That's where Graiguecullen have forced, and that's good from your point of view. From a management team looking in, 8 unforced errors, you know.
Yeah.
Said you'd be happy with that, I'm sure.
He will. Now when we take a look at the Graiguecullen side, they're the same.
They do, yeah.
They've 8 unforced errors each. So it's level on that side. Will they rectify it now in the second period of the first half? But look, that count will be up among 30-40, I'm sure, by the end of this game, such as the weather we're facing.
So the players return. I'm sure the weather wasn't one to hang around too long at any water break. They'll be all delighted to go back in. Whether these water breaks will remain or not, who knows, but the COVID has them that they're here for the time being anyway. So
I suppose, Pat, from Greg's side, they're probably looking for Dicey Riley now, try getting a bit more ball.
Yeah.
Run at that Ballylinan defence and take him on.
They don't seem to be playing his wing at all, do they?
No.
Option, whatever that reasoning.
No, and surprisingly, it's actually the third side that's getting most of the play in this first period. Usually people are attracted to the stand for whatever reason. But no, they're spreading it wide as we see quite a bunching going on here again.
That's stacking up. That's the basketball stack up for the kick out, and they'll all spray to the wings. And Danny needs to be alert to that go out, and there was a free conceded. I think it's more clumsy than anything really, but it's one that's, you practice all kick-outs, but that's one that really has to work well. But you can counteract that by leaving your players out on the wing. But anyway, I'm sure Ballylinan might come up with that as Shaq O'Neill brings on the ball out to Luke Aylesbury to go up the right hand side again. Probably bringing Brian Byrne on the ball is a lot, but as I say, Dicey can offer similar amount, if not more, but to give Brian a break. But Luke has it. Aylesbury, he tries to turn inside Keeley. He does. He gets the pace on Keeley hanging out. And Brendan McCann didn't see that yet. Hurley back to Brian Byrne. Brian Byrne, Hurley a bit far out maybe to be a threat, but he was very close on the link up. Trevor back across to Brian Byrne. It's tiring that work, I suppose, to try and keep ball coming burst, but Ross Alcock didn't get it, and that burst of a run he had. Owen Aylesbury on it now. Back to calling for hands on the ground from Kieran Farrell. Trevor goes on the ground. That's tricky now. In goes Keeley, and that's where they ran into bother. This now is going to be dangerous. Inside is Gary, but Mark Timmins actually cleaned it up, and the whole crowd were looking for that one, and that was where Mark won that occasion, Alan.
Yeah, that's the first real duel we've had, Pat, where it's been a 50-50 ball played. And again, look, they're two guys with real speed, real physical presence, so there's nothing between them. And probably in Graig, we're lucky to have the best probably defender in the county in Timmins, and Gary, certainly in the form he's in, is proven to be the top forward in Laois at the moment.
It's Kieran Fennessy cleaned that up there for Ballylinan as they broke out. Keely's back down to coming. Now comes Kevin Byrne, a very exciting young player, but that breaks to Bobby Dial. No freeze to Brendan McCann. He went to the ground. Brendan McCann didn't see what happened. I'm not sure. It looked like he got connected with somebody, definitely, because Bobby isn't the lad that would lie down to a handy Allen, I think.
No, he's not. He's a hardy fella. Maybe just took a little hand to the face, but there was nothing really innocuous in it.
Well, just I suppose when we look at that one, Gary has one good for us where he waits inside the defender and hope it breaks over him, but you're not going to do that with someone like Mark Timmins.
No, Tim has too much experience, in fairness, for that. But look, as I say, we've a long way to go.
Yeah.
And again, that passing inside from Jamie Farrell and Allen, there's not much margin for error, Pat. It really needs to be fairly on the money. And if Gary can get the run on Timo, by checking his run and win the ball in space, he could cause havoc. Chris
Hurley gets the ball on the way with an indirect free kick where Ballylinan caught out. They weren't, as Ross Hennessy turns aside, he's still fighting out there. Now Ballylinan go out to tackle him. It's going to come back out here now. Luke Aylesbury back out here to defend. Jamie Sheen going to come across here to O'Neill. They're still going back up that wing again. Waiting across here is Martin Dial if they need him, but they're not going to play him as Jamie Sheen tries to take him on and gets through 3-4 players, pops it outside, tricked one, and luckily Brian was able to capture that. I'm not sure he was expecting it, but Shaq tries to go off on a run. He'd been dragged back. No, so the referee, Shaq still has it. Looking to see who's in the middle. He just puts the ball across the square, and that is an excellent score. That was an unbelievable angle, Alan, and that's a huge score for Graiguecullen.
Yeah, so let's say he was only 6 or 7 yards off the end line, outside the right boot. Shaq will probably say himself, it's not what he's known for, but that's a super score. Yeah, really, really good. He was an injury doubt coming into the game, and he's looking strong so far.
Podge Walsh gets it going, comes straight out, but well intercepted there by Martin Tyle. Graiguecullen to gander up, and if you're wondering when you're looking at the thing, the wind is picked up into merely storm force at this stage again now, favouring Ballylinan. The wind at the back of Graiguecullen bringing into it. Martin Tyle still stayed going. You got it. There's a man aside if he plays him. He doesn't. It comes back to Luke Aylesbury. Brendan McCann had the hand up, and Graiguecullen will be delighted with this to settle it down and another opportunity for a score, Alan.
Yeah, I think it might have been Liam Keeley left the hand in as Luke Aylesbury went to go by him. A bit of a drag back, and again it's a good angle now for Brian to push the lead out to 4 points. Like I say, he's kicking into the wind, so it's not a simple one.
So we're 22 minutes gone. Graiguecullen 1 goal and 2 points, Ballylinan 2 points as Brian Byrne steps up to take this free. And everyone looking at the umpire, more importantly the umpires decided to score, and they stretch it out to Graiguecullen 1 goal and 3 points, Ballylinan 2 points.
Yeah, that's a big score, Pat. The wind is actually blowing across him as well, so he had to get his angle right on it.
Podge Walsh tries to get it up there straight away, and they're dispossessed, and that's great work by Graiguecullen again. Chris Hurley trying to go through. Is he being fouled? No, so Brendan McCann again. Out it comes to Jamie Sheen. Sheen has been on a lot of stuff today for Graiguecullen. Goes through looking for the option. Is he overpowered there? No, they broke out there, and Trevor Collins nearly got his hands it, but that comes to Danny Aylesbury, and Danny Aylesbury with the shot went right and wide, and he just maybe it steadied something. Probably a bit more time than he thought, Alan.
He did, yeah, and I think he might have had a runner going on the inside of him as well, but Podge Walsh probably needs to take his time with this kick out now.
Yeah.
The last one went to skew, settle it down, get Ballylinan a chance to regroup.
Yeah, so Greg are pushing up on the kick out. They're not giving an inch there. They're covering every player that they can. I see Alan Farrell here in front for either, but they're covering space there. and here comes this side. Dicey's going to be underneath this. So Jamie Farrell, and the Dicey broke it off him and breaks straight to Danny Aylesbury. Was fired back to Bobby Doyle. Shaq, he's been very steady all day, Alan, hasn't he? In fairness to him,
He has, and he just keeps it moving.
Yeah, Ross Alcock, as I say, just went to ground, but that's what's going to happen. Larry Keeley puts it forward now, 1-1, but no, who's going to break inside there? Does break. Cathal Dunn gets on the end of it. This could be dangerous. Cathal Dunn wasn't able to pick it up as the lads go to ground inside. It's very slippery. It's like playing with a bar of soap, I suppose. Martin Dive is done. Cathal Doyle comes back out in his right hand and scores a great point. You can see the conditions the poor players have to endure out there. That was hard to work there for them.
Yeah, Martin probably just misjudged the bounce when it hit the ground. I went away from him and called in and said he probably thought he was in, only for it to check back inside, and we had three slipping. So when they all checked the runs.
See, Cathal Dunn now is marked by Mark Timmins, so obviously they've taken Gary Walsh out of it. He's back there in the middle of the stack up for the kick out. So Danny Bulger needs to be quicker than he does. He finds his man. He finds Owen Aylesbury.
It's been a better use of the kick out from Graig, Pat.
Absolutely, yeah. Brian Byrne on it now. Want to be tackled by Seamus Lacey. Lacey, tenacious tackler, big strong player for Laois and Fair. And that's Brendan McCann had the hand up there and they win the free. So the Lillis going, they're trying to bring Gary back out to get more on the ball. It's or away from Mark Timmins, Alan, I suppose. As Trevor Collins has it now. Going to go the far side to Aylesbury. Luke, he's been going up and down the wing for most of the first half there. 25 minutes gone. Graiguecullen lead 1 goal and 3 points. The Ballyline is 3 points. Back to Ross Halcock to Chris Hurley. Hurley out for goal. They've only one full forward up. Graiguecullen. Everything happening out here between the 45 and the halfway line. Comes out to Trevor Collins again. Jamie Sheen coming here to probably get it off him. He does. Jamie go back inside to the middle again, into the crowd. Ross Alcock waiting for it.
There's huge space, Pat. There's huge space in that Graig full forward line. It's Kevin Byrne that's marking Ross Hennessy, and they're 1-on-1 with a good 30 metres of space in front of them. But like I say, it's just getting it over that Ballyline defensive line. And they're doing really well Ballyline. And
in front of Chris Hurley there is great space if the ball was to go into him, but I suppose these conditions are going to test any player. Now O'Neill has it, looking inside there, Aylesbury. Now they're looking for the runners. Martin Doyle is coming up here to offer his support but didn't get it. Turn back in, O'Neill has it, got the hands on it, well able to control it there. Back to Ross Alcock, out to Trevor Collins. Now they're going to come this side, are they? Bobby Doyle's waiting out here and Dicey Riley's gone up fully left. Trevor Collins is still going there. Outside looking for Dicey, he gets him. Dicey's 3 around him, goes back to the middle of Bobby Doyle. He won't take this on, puts in the ball. That's a great side. Trevor Collins gets onto it. Collins turns the side to his right. Maybe a bit overplayed it, Alan. Trevor should have backed himself maybe for a point there, should he?
He had a couple of yards to pop it with the right. He tried to give Danny the inside pass, but he was under pressure.
Dicey comes out to tackle Jamie Farrell. A couple of lads that have made each other a leash. Crowds are crowing forward, carrying, but Brendan McCann says no, but that breaks to Graiguecullen. Shaq O'Neill on it now. Looking outside, Aylesbury went outside and we played it back to Bobby Doyle. Doyle going through the middle. Very scrappy here now, but outside, and the referee had blown the whistle. And Graiguecullen will be happy that just settled down. A bit frenetic there, I suppose. And Graig, maybe he could have had a score there early on, but they'll be happy with this break just to settle it down again.
Yeah, Graig are playing a really good pressure. The forwards are working extremely hard to turn over ball when it gets brought into the tackle. But again, Ballylinan finding a way of just keeping that ball moving and avoiding the turnover. So look, I think both sets of players are starting to adapt a bit better now to conditions. They're getting a feel for it. I think around 4 stars probably is a lot greater down in that second period of the first half. And say they're just getting an opportunity to acclimatise. So
Danny Bulger's coming up to kick this one. He scored 2 the last set. Excellent dead ball kicker in fairness. Into a strong gale force wind blowing into his face. And he doesn't take too much time over and takes the kick. It looks to be going to the right and wide, but the wind could hold that up there. It's still in there around as Alcock Aylesbury got underneath outside of Chris Hurley. Chris Hurley turns, and that's a great score. You know what I mean? That's determination and work there. You have to be in there for the breaks, Alan, don't you?
It's a fantastic cast from Danny Aylesbury. He's probably one of the smallest guys in the field, but a leap he certainly has, and he did it really well to pull that from the sky. And Chris just really put his boot through it to put them 4 points up.
It just shows the strength of the wind there, because that ball, Danny Bulger was no mean kicker of the ball, and every end it came back down on top of him as Podge Walsh begins again to start to kick out. Down through the middle it goes. Players gone to ground. Who's going to break it? O'Neill has it. Shaq He's playing really well all day here. Ross Alcock onto Brady. Bobby Doyle out comes. Now they're going. Graiguecullen trying to move Dicey Riley on it. He's way blocked, but he still gets through. Ross Alcock is beside him. Great tackle by Jamie Farrell. Alan Farrell there to help him. And so is Kieran Farrell. All the Farrells around him, and they win the free. And that's again great work. And they're not going to make sure their man is not. As Brendan McCann brings up the ball, Chris Hurley trying to get to know Jamie Farrell a bit better. No need for that. You just need to play on this mini sporting game so far. Nothing going on, Alan. But the Farrells there, they swarmed you.
They did, and they did really well to turn that ball over.
In it goes quickly inside. Nearly tried to claim the mark. And that's Andy McAvoy. Andy turning outside. Cathal Dunn has it. Back to Andy McAvoy. Andy McAvoy out to Gary. Gary Walsh back to Cathal Dunn. The gander up on thing. Farrell. Jamie Farrell takes the kick. Is that going over? Danny Bulger has it and really controls it well. And they start the move again as we head towards 29 minutes gone. Not sure what injury time will be played. Brian Byrne is very far back. He's going to play Bulger, but Gary Walsh is sniffing around there. Timmins tells him where to go. The experienced man will tell him to get it out there quick. And Jamie Sheehan moves it on now. He's going to Aylesbury out in the wing. The wing is open up in front of him, but he turns back into Sheehan. They're looking for the support. Not too many runners there at the moment. They're steadying the ship. 29 minutes gone again. 1-4 for Graiguecullen, 3 points by Ballylinan. Ross across here to Martin Doyle. Martin Doyle will be real busy today. This player loves to go forward with the ball. Missed Aylesbury. Didn't miss him unfairly, although Mick Lillis thought he did, but he's not the man that counts. It's the referee that does that as Jamie Sheehan sets it up again. Back it comes to Martin Doyle. Doyle looking for that, see who the runner is, but on a day like today you have to be really careful your passes, don't you, Alan? You know.
You do, and there's open side on that right if they can go to the terrace with it. It's quite congested here now in their stand at the moment. As Timos sits off on a run.
And this is one of Timos ones. He's going all the way. Great kick. He got blocked though. And Aylesbury picks it up. Tenacious tackler, and he gets to foul for his troubles. And he goes in. And something there, and all the players spotted it. We saw it here, but the referee didn't. But Mark Timmins went on one of those runs there. He gingerly returns back, but I'm sure they'll be happy, Greg, with the free.
They will, and Danny did really well.
3. As you go, 3 minutes of injury time. The ball is kicked in though, but Chris Hurley didn't break from him. Cathal Leonard dealt with it well. Now to Jamie Farrell. 3 minutes of injury time to say. We nearly a minute of that played. 1-4 Graiguecullen, 3 points by Ballylinan. Horrendous conditions for players to play in, but they really provide us with a really exciting game so far. Really tit for tat stuff and really great stuff. Farrell gets it going, and that's the young Fennessy. Excellent player. Cathal Dunn puts it inside onto Andy McAvoy. McAvoy though, well being marshalled by Owen Aylesbury. Who's going to win the battle? McAvoy gets it. Aylesbury on his back, waiting for him, trying to stop him to turn as he plays back out. Comes back outside to Cathal Fennessy. Fennessy lets it drop, but he turns Aylesbury as he went down to get the ball. Still turns back out again. Seamus Lacey on to Jamie Farrell. Farrell looking the way blocked up. Timmins is out there. No foul. Timmins standing over Tenacious, but the foul is given to Brendan McCann when he thought he might be coming out the other way. He went to ground, but obviously Brendan McCann saw something we didn't from here.
Yeah, it looked like Greg had stood him up really well, and that he was going nowhere. We can't see it from here, but maybe it was just a late hand left in.
Must have been, yeah. Well, Gary All should be happy with this. He'll take his time to try and pop this one over and bring it back to a goal difference. But as you said, they have been playing with a gale force wind at their back.
Yeah, they've been playing with that gale force wind. This will bring it back to 3. Probably for Greg's possession of the ball, Pat, McLillis will probably be pretty happy enough.
As Gary Walsh takes the kick and it goes straight over the bar.
Yeah.
32 minutes gone. 1-4 Graiguecullen, 4 points for Ballylinan. We're not far from the half-time whistle now, and the players will want to be going back up into the top of the stand here to try and get a bit of shelter during a half-time break because they deserve it. They're soaking wet out there, but they really put as Graiguecullen stack up again for the kick out. Who's going to go where? How quickly goes Martin Doyle to take that one. Cathal Dunn on his back, and they're going to go up. Bobby Doyle was up the wing, back to Aylesbury. This is dangerous now for them if they don't work it out. Clock forward carrying, and they kicks the ball away, and that could be brought in further, and that was just a bit of inexperience there, or silliness to do with Alan.
Yeah, no, that's twice now. Owen's been caught in possession of the ball, kicking away, just really a rush of blood to the head, and that's another simple one now. And we're looking at a 2-point game.
So Gary Walsh coming up and the strokes over the bars. Brendan McCann calls half time on this game. So the score at half time, Graiguecullen 1-4, Ballylinan 5 points. Entertaining game, Alan, despite the conditions, hasn't it been so far?
Yeah, we've got a real good intensity, Pat. Huge amount of running going on and off the ball. Not a whole lot of from Graiguecullen's side, real much trying to run the game, run the ball through the lines. Ballylinan had been looking for that quick ball inside. It hasn't been working out for Andy and for Gary. So they haven't been gaining first time possession too often. But like I say, McLillis I think will be delighted. 2 points down. Again, okay, they had the wind, but I don't think it's going to be a major factor here, Pat. So the way both teams are trying to play the game, I don't think it's going to be a huge contributor. Graig, with the wind, I think they'll still try run it, so it won't favour Graig in a huge amount. I don't think.
As everyone, as we said, the supporters and all go into the stand. Both teams congregate up in the stand to try and dry themselves off. We would have had. The same scores there. Trying to see now who got them. But anyway, look, we'll go to the half-time break. We'll come back to you after this. They'll probably take a little bit longer than doing the sunny day. So, we're to the half-time time. We'll take a break. Thank you. Very welcome back to MW Hire Moore Park, to this Leaf Shopping Centre quarter-final between Graiguecullen and Ballylinan. Very wet and windy here, and for you at home that are watching it, you're in the right place I think today, because I'm cuddled up there and I want a special hello there to Paddy Lawler or Ballycarroll. I think Paddy's bought the 3 games here today, and he's going to sit back with the fire going and hopefully enjoys the matches. But Alan, we've enjoyed this first half so far despite the conditions. It's been a real tough battle, as you would expect in Championship, but fair play to both sets of players. They've really given us a great game here.
Yeah, there's been a brilliant intensity to it, Pat, in the first half. I say now the challenge is to keep that going in the second half. Graig will play with the wind. I don't think it'll change their game a whole lot, because I say they'll run the ball very much. So Ballylinan, again, a more kicking game when they get past the middle third. Have to kick now against the breeze, so Gary might find himself coming a little bit deeper for ball potentially, and Graig will be happy about that if that's what transpires. But yes, we're just looking at both teams left and right of us in the stand here. They've no warmth of the dressing room today, freezing cold, trying to get themselves warmed back up before taking back to the pitch.
Yeah, so as we said, predicted, the boat went into the stand, and rightly so. Brendan McCann is the only one out in the field. He's joined now by his linesmen there to try and get the second half underway as the umpires make their way out and Graiguecullen make their way out, and Ballylinan are taking their time. Probably both sets would want fresh jerseys and all at this stage. Alan, would only be right, I suppose, for you to be impossible to try and play in a wet one, but
if they have them, Pat.
Yeah, that's true. If they've thought to bring them, I'm sure they did, and when they looked out this morning, they want to bring 3 sets of them maybe. But going back out, we'll see if there's any changes. We don't expect anything to any of the teams. As Ballylinan now join Graiguecullen are on the field. Graiguecullen now playing with a breeze at their back. It's more than a breeze, Alan. It's a nice gale force wind, I suppose, at this stage.
Yeah, it is. Well, we're here in the cold and wet. We'll give one last shout out to, Conor and James O'Regan are there in Sydney. They're part of the Sydney GA club, as is Kelly Farrell of the Farrell sister. So I'm sure they're all watching in from sunny Australia. Their summertime or winter.
By God, is it winter?
And they're in the right place.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to start off here with the start of the second half. Brendan McCann looking for football. Ballylinan are not going to give him one. They're happy enough that the time ticks on, but it hasn't started yet. Graiguecullen 1 goal at 4 points. Ballylinan 5 points. Brendan McCann now getting the ball ready to throw in. There's still only as Shaq O'Neill makes his way to the middle of the field to join Jamie Sheehan.
I'd say McLillis, Pat, he probably would have been having a word with P-Man Pádraig McAvoy to try and curb the influence of Shane O'Neill, because he's getting on a lot of ball for Graig and just keeping the ball moving. Probably need to see a little bit more from Ballylinan's side for P-Man if Graig Ballylinan are going to push on here.
It's up to go, and
he's
straight
won
away
it.
to catch it. Yeah, and P-Man won that, and it was Jamie Farrell,
Farrell.
Yeah, Jamie Farrell. So now he's going to go back, and that's P McAvoy across here to Kieran Farrell. Lacey came hard and stayed and stopped and then decided to go again. Lacey, he can turn on the right boot if he gets a shot. Comes across here now. That's Andy McAvoy, is it? McAvoy outside to Kieran Farrell. Farrell pops it outside to Alan. No, Alan Farrell has it. Sorry, that came through the other one. Alan going to the wing, being well marked by Dicey Riley. These will have matched each other up in training a lot now. That's Cathal Finney back out. Comes back out here to Kieran Farrell. Kieran coming up now. It's Ballylinan's turn trying to set up. Lealis, he came again, but it wasn't picked out. Cathal Dunn has it. Back out to P. McAvoy. Out here to Kieran Farrell. Farrell side to Fennessy to Cathal Dunn. Trying to move it on. Gary Walsh be well marshaled by Mark Timmins, and now looking for the free, but absolutely no. Says Brendan McCann as Trevor Collins sets off now. They're going to come up this wing. Maybe we'll see him all this stand side this time, Alan, but he's get caught. Trevor Alcock gives him the gout. We both slip to the ground. 4-5 Ballylinan men around him. Alcock still has it. Brendan McCann says not. The ball is still on the ground, still for the play. No whistle blown yet. It's on the ground. Unfortunate there for us, Alcock. The ball just touched his hand on the ground. Ballylinan be happy. Kieran Farrell tries to get the game on the go, but Gary Walsh says to him, give me that, I'll have a pop of this.
Yeah, and that's probably the third or fourth time Ross Alcock has slipped. I'm not sure what cogs he's got on, Pat.
Yeah.
But he just, it's like you say, lost his footing going into the tackle, and a really good turnover from Ballylinan.
So Gary Walsh goes back with the ball. Seamus Lacey let it drop, but he time to regain it again. Kieran Farrell here to Kieran Fennessy back to McAvoy to Jamie Farrell back out to Cathal Fennessy back out here to good player, that's Kieran Fennessy, across here to Jamie Farrell going to try the long speculative kick inside, but that's cut out by Aylesbury. Is it? No, it drops. It did, well held by him this time. He was looking at him get it up. He really tackled hard by Carl Dunn. Referee says free out, and he had to be Owen Aylesbury, had to be on the ball there.
Alan. He did. He recovered really well. The first pass looked like he was getting away from him, but he gathered it really well in the second attempt.
This comes out to Danny Aylesbury from Gary, but Ballylinan in like a light and got it, and he gets by them. Now they're going up the wing. That looks like Alan Farrell. Bobby Doyle went to meet him. Alan Farrell struggled off, so did Bobby Doyle. Alan Farrell went to ground after Bobby Doyle went to ground. I think a clash of legs, but referee says a free in for Ballylinan, and I say Gary Walsh should put this one down and try and go at it, as opposed to what he did previously.
Yeah, and there's been a noticeable difference, Pat, in the second half there from Ballylinan, and they're running ball now a lot more. And they're taking them on down the sides, and I'm sure that's something McLillis has probably said to them. Greg got joy out of it in the first half. Ballylinan are trying the same, like I say, against the breeze, and it's proven effective.
So Gary Walsh already has 4 points in the first half, trying to make it his 5th for today. But no, he's looking up. It doesn't look like a lad is going to kick it over the bar or kick it for free, but he does. But that drops in to Jamie Sheehan, and Danny Bulger got the end of it somehow, and Aylesbury breaks out, and Ross Alcock back to Aylesbury goes, but that's intercepted by McAvoy. There was a sharp out to Trevor Collins. Trevor doesn't get it in on Larry Keeley. Keeley felt the tackle there from Collins, and now Kieran Farrell setting it up again. Out here it comes. That's Cathal Fennessy going through. Alan Farrell's outside him, but he plays him. Alan cuts inside. Alan to the brother Jamie looking up. Now we're going to switch it here to Kieran Farrell on it. Goes back inside to Jamie Farrell. Jamie on the right boot, but that's a kick that didn't have any power in it, and Danny Bulger could easily deal with it. Bulger now, it's a bit frenetic, but it comes out to Jamie Sheehan. The kind of green jerseys, when they get wet, they kind of get very similar, but maybe that's just me. Now Trevor Collins on it. Now Trevor, a man gone through in the middle there, but he plays him. Is that a dangerous ball? It didn't break from. It was on Martin Doyle. It was a hard pass to expect him to get, as Seamus Lacey's back to tidy up and wins the free out. Slippery conditions causing all that, Alan, really, I suppose.
Yeah, it is, and it's Greg. They're at 1-4. Ballylinan haven't conceded any more than 1-8 in their 3 games, Pat. Will it be much different today? I don't know in these conditions.
Well, Seamus Lacey put that ball, Kieran Farrell went out his hands out over the line. Graiguecullen win the sideline, but they give it away straight away. Cathal Leonard mops it up. Ball dropping to Jamie Farrell, picks it up now. Ballylinan trying to get through. Cathal Leonard back to Farrell. Farrell looking up, no options. He's trying to turn around. Brian Byrne is there. Allen is over here, and he gets it. Pops it outside. And that goes Cathal Leonard again. Now, out. That's still going, and that looks like Alan Farrell again, is it? I thought it was whistle blocked, there isn't, but Dicey already is trying to do tackling, dangerous ball across the square. Aylesbury has to deal with it. Luke Aylesbury, and he does. Out to Trevor Collins now. Carl Dunn tries to come out to him. Collins has it. Inside to Martin Doyle. Been an awful lot of ball today. Real playmaker for Graiguecullen, and so is this man Aylesbury, and a huge amount of ball. Looking up, see what the options are. The option is Brian Byrne. No better man, 2 Ballylinan men in front of him. Jamie Farrell is one of them. He goes by him. Lacey's waiting for him. Brian Byrne cuts back outside here to Jamie Sheehan. Sheehan looked at the options. Cathal Dunn tries to close down the ground. Cathal Dunn pressing out on him. Ballylinan pressing out again. When the player has the ball, they're going to come out and make them force them back. And it's working so far as Timmins now. Not going to give anything away too silly, as neither will Collins. Back to Jamie Sheehan. Sheehan. Long ball in. Hurley, will he get it? Hurley. He tried to wait for a win by both of them. Who's going to win this race? But the ball wins the race out over the line, and it's a line ball for Ballylinan. They quickly started off again. That was Kevin Byrne started off. Back to Jamie Farrell. Farrell can come back through the middle. Shaq O'Neill went in there. Referee was reminded by the players what happened, and they got a free there.
Yeah, that's a silly foul from Jamie Farrell. He just got caught in possession. I'm not sure, Pat, if there was a tackle off the ball that maybe cost it. Was there a blocked run? I was following the ball. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe we're harshing Jamie there, and there was something
maybe
off the ball for a blocked run. And now it's top of the D stuff. It's Danny Bulger to kick. He's again probably 35 yards out. with the wind, you'd be confident of him striking it.
He's not in any rush, coming hat and all with him, gloves, the whole lot ready, the leggings, the whole lot ready to him, but he won't care once he can get this score. But they'll need this score, Graiguecullen, to try and settle him, I'm sure, Alan. But he takes a step to the right, takes the kick. It's a better one the first half, it's straight over the bar. Excellent score, Graiguecullen point of view, they needed that.
They did, yeah, because probably like Ballylinan the first half, they've tried to kick in some ball there, Pat, and it's not sticking. It's just hitting the ground and it's getting away from them. So they need to go back to what they were doing really well, and it was running ball.
Podge Walsh out with it, out into the middle. Who's going to get it? But Jamie Sheen is underneath it and could claim the mark, but play it on. Brian Byrne has it now. They could pay dividends out of the kickouts. They see a weakness there. Shaq O'Neill back to Brian Byrne. Byrne turns back around to the wing here. Now he breaks through the gap. He goes through it. Brian will go through it all day. Ross Alcock was outside him. He still has it. Looking for the thing. He didn't overplay it there, so the ref. Martin Doyle is coming at speed, but he didn't decide to play him. Out to Bobby Doyle. Bobby Doyle outside to Dicey Riley. Dicey turns back aside on the left. Back, trying to get back on the right. Puts it across the field to Brian Byrne. The man to start off with. Brian drops and picks it up again. 3 men outside and one of them fouled him. And that was overzealous, I suppose, by Larry Keeley on this occasion, Alan.
Yeah, Brian saw a little gap and he went for it and just threw the foul. And again, it's Danny Bulger who's going to come up and try kick it. And that'll just push Greg out to 4 if he can. We're seeing a bit more from Brian now in the start of the second half. He was probably quieter in the first. As he tries to go quick, no, he's going to leave it for Danny to strike.
Yeah, I think they're happy enough. They're in no rush, Graiguecullen. They're happy to settle down the game, not rushing to take frees or anything like that. All these opportunities, if they could take them, why not? Danny's done it before. They could, if they got it again, it'd be delighted for them.
Not so with this one, Pat.
Yeah,
it's to the right and wide.
Right and wide, yeah. So Ballylinan will be delighted with that break. There's still only a goal between them. 39 minutes gone.
So Greg are definitely, in terms of possession stats, they're owning more of the ball, but again, there's only one kick of a ball between them now.
Podge Walsh out to the middle. This could break anywhere. Big Keely's underneath. The Ross Alcock went underneath. It fell down to his hands. Referee blew the whistle. And he's not pointing, but I think he's giving the free to Ross Alcock. He appears. I think that Larry Keeley might have brought him to the ground, but that we're lucky to get away with that. Jamie Sheen gathers it up. Bobby Doyle's outside him. Sheen moving in. Cross goes Farley, plays Bobby Doyle. Bobby looking for the options, and here comes in O'Neill. O'Neill, they're going up that tight side, but there's a man free out there. And they're getting away with it. Graiguecullen out. They're waiting to see will he use his pace. And that's who Jamie Sheen is. It is, yeah. He turns back out again. Back out to Dicey Riley. Riley still going back into the middle. Very crowded area. Nearly intercepted. Chris Hurley gets onto it. Trevor down through the middle. Trevor tries going to take for the kick. Trevor with that going to the right and wide. Worth a shot there, Alan, wasn't it? That chance?
Yeah, he did. And I know Timo had better run in front of him. He was probably running into traffic himself. Worth it with the wind on his back, Pat. But again, another wide now.
And Ballylinan, the contrast in the kick out, Ballylinan don't seem to have a ply. It's 50-50 out into the middle of and hoping for the best, which might not work for them. I know they're depending on Keely's to do it, but Ross Alcock went there, got no free for his troubles that time. Keely beat someone with a jersey. Seamus Lacey, very frenetic there. Jamie Farrell breaks out with it. Now there's a big crowd there in the middle who breaks again, and then inside it is, and that's great play. Down Aylesbury, down on it. Come to Dicey Riley. They break, but swarm on him. Young Kevin Byrne swarming on Dicey Riley. Across to Jamie Sheen, back to Riley. Riley going to try to kick from out far. That's a bit short, I'd say. And the goalie was lucky to deal with that. That could have gone anywhere. Dangerous today, Alan.
It was, yeah. There probably wasn't the shot to take on though, Pat. Dicey probably should have held it and just tried to bring it in there 10 yards closer. I say for Greg's possession now, they're not putting on the scoreboard.
No, and here we go. Ross Alcock with the break. Chris Hurley outside him. He plays Hurley. Hurley with the tame shot, and that goes over the bar. It could have been more, but Graiguecullen will be delighted to get any score, I suppose.
Yeah, the way they've got one to score now for their last probably 5 minutes of dominance. Ballylinan is starting to struggle to get out of their half. The kickouts, like we said, they're not working for Ballylinan. They're probably relying on their big men to win it, and some of Greg's smaller guys. But the second ball is proven crucial at the moment.
Yeah, they're depending on Larry and Liam Keeley. You can imagine two big men like that, you'd pick them for kickouts, and that's what they're going. But he's gone the other side, as just as we said. Podge Walsh out here, chance their arm out there. Jamie Farrell didn't catch a hold of it, but Aylesbury did, and it's straight and it goes to Ross Hennessy, the goal scorer in the first half. He turned on his left, turned his right, he bottled himself up, maybe overplayed it a bit, pops the side out to Shaq O'Neill. He won't waste the chance, moves outside, hops it, overplays to Jamie Sheehan outside here to Luke Aylesbury back out to Brian Byrne to Sheehan, and let's start off again, out to Trevor Collins. He's Timmins behind him if he needs him. Timmins pointing the way, telling him where to play. A great experienced man, and Timmins will do it himself. Decided, but Gary was trying to come to him, but Gary this far back now in the Ballylinan team is no threat to Graiguecullen at the moment. You would think from back that far. The Keeley, the steam looks to be running out by some of the Ballylinan lads, but Trevor Collins gets onto this, and if the space opens up as it does, he's going to stay going, and he's going to try and take on his other kick. No, he doesn't. He popped it across. Maybe the wrong decision there, Alan, I think.
He was in two minds, Pat. He thought the run was made and he didn't look, and it's just gone away. But again, Greg's starting to carve some opportunity now through the middle of that Ballylinan defence. Some tired legs in Ballylinan, and I know they're going to make a change here now, and it's just Robbie Donoghue, I think, it's going to come in.
Yeah, and Robbie would have started the first 2 days, lively, very lively player, but again, the type of game that Ballylinan played, they all sweep the defence and then they all move forward. It's a really, really tiring game for any team to play. It's
the middle third now. It's Jamie Sheen is starting to get on a lot of ball for Graiguecullen and Shane O'Neill, and they're just keeping the ball moving from left and right. Kevin Nugg really onto them to keep the width and try and stretch the Ballylinan defence.
So Kieran Fennessy back, Cahill Dunn out this far out from the goal. Alan Farrell down that wing now. He's going to try and go beside Dicey O'Reilly, but Dicey will know him inside out, and he forced him to kick it. But that's going into Cahill Dunn. Could be danger on here. Dunn fists the ball across, it comes off the upright. Who's this going to break down? This breaks, and Brian Byrne is back to clear the line. And fantastic stuff from Brian to fairness out to Trevor Collins. Great man in your team, Alan, and not your team, but I'm going to call it your team, the Graiguecullen team. That was important interception from him. Martin Tye now gets it on the roll. Aylesbury. That's Luke, is it? Inside Chris Hurley calling for it. Martin Doyle gets it. Seamus Lacey let him know he was there. They come across Dicey back to Chris Hurley. Hurley over here is Luke Aylesbury looking for it. Did he get on it? He did. He made the gap. He's turning up on the right hand boot, and that is, in a day like today, that's a super score, Alan.
That was a brilliant score, and he made a great run inside, and Chris picked him out. There wasn't probably much room for error on the hand pass he gave him, but it felt lovely to him. Just as we see Liam Keeley and Brian Byrne, a bit of pushing and shoving going on, but nothing major to it, Pat.
No, and Larry Keeley looks to got attention, but more importantly from Graiguecullen's point of view, Shaq O'Neill looks to have run his race there. He's pulled up. I know there was a fear of him coming in that he mightn't last the game, and that looks to be fairly apparent now at this stage, Alan.
Yeah, I think he was struggling with the hamstring, Pat, and it's Paul Mulready who was down to start coming into the middle, so another young guy with legs. I suppose we don't know how this is going to fare, Pat, but I certainly know from a Graig end the work they've done, probably from the fitness side. They won't run out of legs here, and they've got plenty of legs throughout the team. Can Ballylinan match them forward as we're coming into the last 15 minutes is the question.
So Liam Keeley makes way for Robbie Donoghue, and Larry is injured, so both Keeleys are out at the moment as Liam, number 11, makes his way for Robbie Donoghue. On is John Keeley there is on. I forgot about that. John made an appearance the last day. Great to see him back on the field, and I'm sure he's going for the kick out, and he could well win the first one. He nearly did, just dropped out of his hands, but it breaks. Hurley's in there. Chris Hurley was a judge, and Robbie Donoghue in their first touch, and he a foul that was, the boots were going there. I think that wasn't necessary from Robbie, I don't think.
No, and John Keeley had a brilliant opportunity with his first involvement to win in it. Again, with the conditions that are in, he just happened to spill away from him. And now another opportunity for Danny Bulger from 45. And funnily enough, Pat, the longer range ones are probably Danny's real certs. Getting around the D, maybe sometimes he thinks it's going to be too easy for him. But these longer ranges, he's been really strong on. See if we put the commentator curse on him. Just
Larry and Larry Keeley and Liam Keeley made way from John Keeley and Robbie Donoghue. That's the change in the Ballylinan. And Paul Mulready come in and replace Shane O'Neill there, Shaq, for Graiguecullen, as Danny Bulger comes up and kicks this one low and trajectory, but straight over the bar, well measured there, and that stretches their lead out to 1 goal and 8 points to 5 points. 6 points in it. Scores are really hard to come by in a day like today, Alan, I can imagine.
Yeah, it is, and Ballylinan are going to need a goal, Pat. Who's going to get it for them? We haven't seen a huge amount from Gary from open play. He's out now in the middle third. Trevor Collins is picking him up. Mark Timmins back sweeping in front of Owen Aylesbury. We'll see this Gary drift closer to goal as we're just coming for another water break, Pat. But yeah, so I say we're on the clock. We've got 30 minutes in normal time to go. They definitely need Gary closer to goal, but can they find him with it at the right moment is the big question.
As we go for the water break,
Again, just to remind the veterans, when they're leaving the pitch at the end of this match, to do so, be at the gate at the back of the stand adjacent to the tunnel area. Again, we're asking veterans to leave Monroe Park, be at the gate at the back of the stand, be adjacent to the tunnel area.
So just to come back to the stats there, Ballylinan have lost 5 of their 5 kickouts. And that's a telling tale. We did point that out there. Graiguecullen seem to have the measure on Ballylinan's kick out, but Ballylinans do seem to be depending on the big men putting it out there, don't
they? Yeah, it is. Graig have really pressed high up on it, and it's that first time possession here in these conditions, Pat, from kickouts. Unless you're going to retain it from a short kick out, going long, that chance of spilling the ball is huge. So a big 30 minutes for both of these teams now, and Ballylinan need to find another gear here.
Yeah, both teams come back now. Already they played. The game was restarted there. This happened in Cavan before, didn't it? This was restarted before as the whistle blew, waiting for one team to come back. But anyway, Graiguecullen have got back in time. They hope to make sure that Ballylinan don't capitalise on that. But away they go now. Up the side is Alan Farrell. Alan tries a long speculative kick aside. Gary Walsh, John Keely's aside, they're underneath, and John Keely catches it back across. Gary Walsh gets a hand on it, and it goes through the net, and that's the goal you were talking about. That came from John Keely out to Gary Walsh, and that's huge for Ballylinan to get themselves back into the game.
That's what we said, Pat. Yeah, and it was again they've changed tactic now. It's John Keely that's gone to the edge of the square. It's a different challenge for Timmins, and as a result of that, Timo went up with him. Gary found himself free. And that's what they needed. They're back in the game.
Danny Bulger out to start it out, to kick out. What way is it going to go? He's coming this way, but John Keely's this side as well. Up it goes. Good Seamus Lacey came as Paul Mulready got a hold of that. It was fouled, and they kick it on, but the referee's bringing it back there to where the free was from and settling back down. Paul Reedy was fouled there. So now the fellas getting to know each other a little bit better now. This crunch time coming these last 15 minutes or so. 11 minutes on the clock, 49 gone. 1-8 for Graiguecullen, 1-5 for Ballylinan.
It was a big take from Paul and Reedy, Paddy. He needed to win it.
So now he's running. Trevor Collins gone to make the run. Here comes Aylesbury. Danny back out to Luke. Luke to Danny. He's looking across to see Cathal Leonard tracking him. Bobby Doyle on it. Back here to Jamie Farrell. Jamie Farrell now. Nothing looking inside. There's still no options aside, so they're going to play around out here with it. They have a 3-point lead as Bobby Doyle. Now Ballylinan is start to push up on them. If they don't make a mistake, they could hold on to back here to Mulready, back to Jamie Sheehan. No real options still. Then they look up, there's nothing on. Robbie Donner coming out to try and make it. They'll try and get a gap somewhere. Is it coming now with Martin Doyle? Doyle is turned back again, back to Mulready. Mulready out to Bobby Doyle, and Bobby Doyle onto Owen Aylesbury. Very far up the field, and that's come to Dicey Riley. Danny Riley has it. Nearly got away from it, but he retained it. That was important, he retained that. Bobby Doyle switched across here to Jamie Sheehan. Sheehan and Martin Doyle waiting outside for him. He'll probably get it off him, and he does. Gets it outside him. There still is pedestrian there. The crowd are not happy, but Graiguecullen won't mind once they retain the ball. They understand that Ballylinan can't score. Bobby Doyle tries to press forward. Hurley comes out with it, drops off his hand, but there to pick it up was Riley. Trevor, you've got to look through the middle, was Mulready, but he didn't pick him out. Back it comes to Owen Aylesbury. Aylesbury now, a bit of a gap opening. Jamie Farrell a bit stand off for him, but that's cut out by Robbie Donner. They stood back and waiting for it there, and he turns back in. He's tackling now. Brian Byrne gets away with it. Brian Byrne on it. Is he going to pick it up? He does. It bends down. Heads straight for goal. Two around him. No free, said the ref. Free out, said Brendan McCann. And the crowd not happy with that decision, but I think Brian did maybe carried a bit too far, Alan.
Yeah, he did. He get the referee the opportunity just to blow for over carry. Just as we're looking at Ballylinan now with a 2-man inside for forward line of John Keely and Gary Walsh, and it's Trevor Collins who's picking up Gary and Timo and Keely. So we're definitely going to see a more direct Ballylinan here in the last few minutes, Pat.
Yeah, but that just as we say it, that's a wasted chance from them to kick it straight out. Cathal Dunn wasn't able to get that pass as Ballylinan bring on Luke Phillips, number 20, Luke Phillips. So who he'll replace now we'll see shortly.
I say it's proven difficult. Ballylinan, it's a one-on-one inside with Kevin Byrne and Ross Hennessy. Kevin's playing him from the front with huge space in front of him. So Graiguecullen are looking up, that kick inside isn't on, and they're having to try and work it and keep the ball running the lines.
Andy McAvoy's day is over. Andy McAvoy's done his bit for Ballylinan. He's been replaced there by Luke Phillips. Free out for Ballylinan. That ball went straight to him, the kick out, and they get to go on their way. As Kieran Farrell on it, he goes to ground. He's fouled to Brendan McCann. He look it up, launched the big one in. Two big men in there. Gary Walsh underneath, tried to get it with one hand. Breaks to Jamie Sheehan and Ross Alcock. And out they come with it. Graiguecullen and Gary stayed going into Ross there, but he didn't mind it. Ross Alcock was happy enough with that. Luke Aylesbury starts it off. Sorry, his own Aylesbury. Back is coming. That just got by called on Ross Alcock. They're playing a bit of danger now, Graiguecullen. But Trevor Collins picks it up and tries to settle the ship, and Jamie Sheehan has it. Sheehan outside here now. Luke Aylesbury looking for no. Sheehan turns back around to Trevor. Trevor Collins steady up again when they look inside. Options are not there. It's a long road to get into the full forward line. There's still no one showing it. Ballylinan decide to press up on him. Mulready has it now. Pops it over the head. Back to Aylesbury, back to Mulready. Mulready tries to set off and he gets the gap. He'll stay going. He kicks it across. And that's Bobby Doyle. I think that's free. Bobby Doyle, Chris Hurley inside him. He's looking for Hurley, takes it, pops it across to Hennessy. Hennessy turns back on his right. That's a high kick though. Is that going anywhere? And that's a little score that you thought when it left the boot it wasn't going to make it, but it did. Vital.
I'd say the wind took it, Pat. A normal day that probably wasn't carrying, and he just got the toe to it, it curled, and it was a great run from Bobby Doyle into acres of space. He had Chris coming on the right hand side of him, probably went for the man who would normally get it in front of goal. It's Ross, and that's a big score.
Podge Walsh out through the middle again now. Ross Alcock underneath, Jamie Sheehan, Keely's underneath. No, it breaks, but Bobby Donner got his toe to it. But Graiguecullen were able to deal with that. As Cathal Dunn and Martin Doyle, who's been on a savage amount of ball today, Alan, in fairness to him, he's been all over the place. But that's intercepted again, loose pass. Bobby Doyle fraud, but no, Graiguecullen come out with that again. Brendan McCann says no thing and no on Aylesbury, and that breaks again outside. Is that Gary Walsh inside in the middle of trying to get? He's been tackled and harried. Been tackled by Bobby Doyle. Trevor Collins out with the boot, and referee says it's free. A little bit of afters, but there could have been a couple of frees there, I think, earlier on, Alan. But Gary Walsh looking to move the ball on quick now. He's looking up. Gary Walsh has his hands. He's going to launch it in. John Keely's the target, I'm sure. When that breaks to Phillips, but Mark Timmons has it, and he clears it out to Brian Byrne. Brian Byrne has been tremendous all day, but Timmons been rock solid as well. Brian Byrne trying to go up the pace, and he pops it across. Hurley, will Hurley get the break? He does, but the referee brings the ball back. That's one of those things that happens with the advantage thing, Alan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Yeah, I don't think Brendan thought Chris was going to win it.
Yeah.
And he pulled it back for the free.
Now, Jamie Sheehan and out to Aylesbury. And savage amount of work for him as well. And he was dragged back there, absolutely. Pádraig McAvoy disagreed with Brendan McCann's decision, but you wouldn't expect anything else from him as they try and claw back a 4-point lead. 55 minutes gone. Graiguecullen 1-9, Ballylinan 1-5. Goes back to Alcock to Trevor Collins. Collins across. No, he decides to go himself. Gary Walsh gets towards him, but he quickly moves across to Martin Doyle. And as I said earlier, Martin Doyle has been on the world of ball today. Really been instrumental in most stuff that Graiguecullen has done today. And he's still going, and he's going to get the return pass. He pops it outside. Who's that? Is that Bobby Doyle? It comes inside, but that's a wayward kick inside. But look who's on Aylesbury, but no, it breaks the Ballylinan man. Out comes P-Man, in comes Chris Hurley, and Hurley adjusts that fouled. And Ballylinan trying to get a goal. Seamus Lacey going to take the free. Get the free, sorry, he's past him, but he goes into 3 men, but he gets through them all. And Seamus, real powerful, strong man, opens up in front of him. Graiguecullen need to go to him if they want to stop him. Seamus says, pace the burn, real big, strong man, will make the right decision. Over carry, John Keely has it. John Keely trying to go on the right, didn't back himself, comes up to Farrell. Farrell looking for the option, outside here is Fennessy, takes the kick himself, but that's gone to the right and wide.
And Jamie's kicking his letting down a small bit, Pat.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's gone for the shot. It's just not really happening for him off the boot today. He had a couple of shots that dropped short in the first half. He could see what we wanted him to do. It was nearly a half shot, half delivery ball inside to Keely. And it's a crucial opportunity missed for them now as we're coming into the last 3.5 minutes of normal time.
Shane Aylward is coming onto the field, and it looks like, does that look like Luke Aylesbury?
It's on.
Sorry, yeah. And really tried really hard and really put in a massive shift out there for Graiguecullen. couple of mistakes, but you wouldn't blame them with the bar of soap you're playing with out there today.
Defensively really solid. Probably a couple of possessions lost there now at a crucial time, and the Graig really need to hold the ball.
Ross Alcock got that clean kick out there and takes it, kicks it on, was under a bit of pressure from the How Long gang, but anyway, Trevor Collins has it back, Dicey O'Reilly back to Trevor. I anticipated Trevor was going to get it, but Trevor's kind of played that role and offering support all the time. Up the wing there's a Graiguecullen man, and he finds him. Trevor will find him.
And Shane Aylward
straight in, and he's tackled by the other man, Phillips, who came out for Ballylinan. Back out to Hurley, but Hurley had dropped over his hands. Again, it's very slippery condition to try and play it, and they're trying to move it. Graiguecullen or Ballylinan are going to be pushing for the goal and want to get it. And they're coming now, but they have to start from deep, and they will start. And here they go. That looks like Kieran Farrell. No, that's Kieran Fennessy. Fennessy out to think now. Robbie Donner normally is the pace, but that ball bounced from him and got away from him. And he, not for his favour, he kicked the ball away. Probably not the right thing to do when you're trying to get back and want time on your side.
Yeah, definitely just frustration on his behalf.
Yeah.
So they need that ball, and they need the ball quick. So 4-point game.
Yeah.
And it's a goal, Pat. It's going to have to be a goal for Ballylinan.
I know the last time you said that, the Graiguecullen people won't be happy. Ballylinan sure when they got a goal. But anyway, if they don't get one, they might let you off it. As Paul Mulready gets it, looks up and pops it back. And Aylesbury deals with it again. Robbie Donner comes in rather strongly, says thing. And there, Gary, again, frustration as you talked about. I think we all could see it here, but I don't think Brendan McCann did. But maybe the linesman did. But anyway,
there was a bit of a trailing. There was a bit of a trailing knee. Whether he meant it or not, I don't know. But he did catch his knee off his face, Pat.
Yeah.
Accidental, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think. No, the linesmen have said there's nothing untoward there. So look, they'll get up and get on with it. Luke Aylesbury has been playing phenomenal there all day. Has had to do an awful lot of work, but he hasn't. From one end of the game to the other, hasn't let up on his pace at all, Alan, has he?
No, it's a really good work. And this time now, this is not in Ballylinan's favour, this delay. They need to get this game going. Yeah,
so Eric Kenna comes on. We weren't told his replacement. That's the man who Andy McAvoy replaced him between, even though we didn't know who it was. But anyway, and making way.
And it's Keely. It's Keely and Cheddar Sheen off the ball. It's a bit of pulling and dragging.
As Kieran Farrell makes way for Kieran Farrell, another man put in a strong shift there today. And a lot expected him as they work back Graiguecullen and try and get out the pressure. And Brian Byrne has 3-4 men coming to him. The only one thing in mind. And again, Gary's there. Referee's a hand up. No one is hearing the whistle. The players certainly aren't hearing it because they're, when you're in this heat of the battle, the last thing you want to hear is a free or a whistle. So we're heading for the 60th minute gone. Not sure what injury time might be to play it. Maybe we'll get a signal from someone shortly. Mark Timmins sets it up, and that's a kick straight into Ross Alcock, but Ross's legs are probably gone to tired. This they want them to get it. Robbie Donner gets fouled on the way out by Paul Mulready to try to kick it on. Jamie Farrell now. Jamie moving, being dragged back. Brian Byrne dragging him back. Paul Mulready dragging him back. Brendan McCann dragging him back to bring him back here to where the free is from. And lads hitting the ground and going all over the place. People roaring and shouting and calling, and this could get ugly now as things start to heat up unnecessarily. There's been a very clean game so far. It's just a bit of tensions and maybe inevitable coming from teams at this stage, Alan.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It seemed to be Jamie Farrell. He collided. I don't know who's on the ground from Graig's end, but I know Ross Alcock ran over. Ross wouldn't be an aggressive fella, and he wasn't happy with what he saw, whatever's happened. But again, this is all into Graig's favour now, slowing the whole clock down. I think we might have saw 4 minutes, Pat indicated. Not 100% sure. If it is, there's 3 to go along with this delay. And like I said, this delay is definitely favouring Graig. They're going to go along here now, and it's probably just going to be a route 1. We'll see what Brendan McCann does after the little melee.
Yeah, well, Graiguecullen are going to have the free regardless of what it is. Maybe, or maybe not. Brendan McCann is calling a few players. He's calling in Jamie Farrell. Standing in front of him.
There was talk of a stamp pass, and I think looking with Jamie Farrell, he's gone.
Jamie's not happy with the decision, and goes off. That's unfortunate, you know. Jamie, a good player, wouldn't be in a mention like that in fairness to him, you know. But Brendan McCann has, through working with his officials, has overturned the free kick in. It's a throw up, and Jamie Farrell is protesting his innocence with the linesman. Hasn't left the field yet, and will now shortly. I think will eventually. As Brendan McCann gets the ball, gets this underway. With 2 minutes in the injury time played, there must be another couple of minutes left to go, I'm sure. It goes up, this fella's falling. Johnny Keeley gets the ball, dragged to the ground. Lots of fellas holding on, legs and hands and everything. Gary Walsh is in there. This is not controlled yet, and fellas need to hold their heads now. Brendan McCann brings it in. Gary Walsh is on it. I'm sure they're one thing, a very big, quick kick, but he wasn't going to be allowed that.
Yeah, and again, look, it's
big hand, birdie hand. I see coming in there, 21. I'm not sure who's making away from him. You might see it. The birdie's gone in as Danny Bulger hits the ground from Robbie Donner. Gary Walsh goes for it, kicks and blasts and goes off, and that's the 45. Lads coming on all over the field everywhere. I see James Doug ready to come in as well. So the birdie came in there for Danny Ellsbury.
No, look, there's gamesmanship coming in, Pat. It's not great to see.
No.
From Greg's end, they're trying to close out the game. They know that goals are all Ballylinan can get. And it's going to be a long one in. No, it's not good. It's not good from Ross Hennessy. You don't like to see it. And it's just going to add on more time now.
Yeah. So you're bringing in the 45. I'm not sure it's going to be an advantage because it's closer in and bigger crowd in there. And then the linesman left on James Duke, which delayed the kick, and that's I think what Conor Fennessy was probably going to do when he knew this was his last throw of the dice. He decided to kick the ball away and is brought forward. So it's still 4 points in it. Nearly 64 minutes played. Gary Walsh is looking for players to go back. It looks like Timo standing in front of him. He goes for the shot and goes over the bar and brings it back to a goal between them now. So it's 1-6 Ballylinan and 1-9 Graiguecullen. 64 minutes played, 4 minutes overtime. Graiguecullen adds a point to the clock, but I'm sure he'll add a bit on for the last few minutes of skirmishing and rucking and whatever was going on. No real malice, just, you know, lads losing the cool and getting frustrated. But Danny Bulger, just kick out again. Brendan McCann puts the whistle in the mouth, but doesn't. It goes on. In goes Dicey Riley. Dicey Riley gets it. That's the part. Brian Byrne gets fouled. And Brian Byrne wins the free there, and in comes Gary Stead coming into Brian there, but that's they're going to play it out there as Paul Mulready goes down. He needs to get up and go on with it. I think there's no point in wasting any more time out there and try and convince Brendan McCann that the time is up. It goes back to Ross Alcock. Dangerous game they're playing. Once he doesn't lose it back there, I suppose they'll be happy. It's out to Luke Aylesbury. Luke Aylesbury goes on Brian Byrne. He's going to get plenty of texture. There's three lads go around him. One of them fouls him. And Gary Walsh hasn't gone away from him the whole day, and that's been the last few minutes has been very unwelcome from Gary. Not nice to see.
No, there was
He's really stayed through. You know what I mean? The last few tackles, you could see that has been obvious. They've been looking to get to Brian Byrne a lot closer than.
Yeah, look, Brian has agitated them all, and Gary just ran straight into the back of him, pad on the ground. He made no effort to get out of his way, and it's just been frustration for Ballylinan.
I think at this stage, you know what I mean, the referee should be looking at the clock. You know what I mean? The longer this goes on, it's not going to get any prettier, I suppose. Brendan McCann in control of it, I suppose, as Brian Byrne is still on the ground gingerly. He's back to his feet, thankfully, from Graiguecullen point of view. Luke Aylesbury going to start it off again. They're now minus Gary Walsh, who's been sent off, and Jamie Farrell, so down to 13 men, Ballylinan, and the cause looks very hopeless for them at this stage as Mulready takes it off, and out it comes. That's Martin Doyle again. Doyle to Bobby Doyle. And Brendan McCann calls full time on it, and Graiguecullen are delighted as they advance and win the game on the scoreline of 1-6. Graiguecullen 1-9 Ballylinan. So they're the second team in the pot themselves, and Ballyfin. There's two teams in the pot now for the semi-final. And only for the last few minutes, Alan, this was a real good, tight sporting game, to be honest with you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was brilliant. I said the conditions weren't great, but by God, it was the effort there. They tried to do the right things all the time. the last 5 minutes were probably 10 minutes part were quite ugly from Graig, and say, look, Ballylinan, if two men gone to the line, I was probably frustrated chasing the game, but say Graig gamesmanship at times there wasn't good to see either. But like I said, they ran the clock down. You might say from if you were for it, they did what they needed to do to close the game out. Like I said, they were right in the game up until the end. It's a 3-point game, and all they needed was that one opportunity, and they nearly got it, Pat.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's great to see both teams out there. Gary Walsh and all, everyone included, all shaking hands with each other. I'm sure they know they all know each other, being fairly close neighbours, you know what I mean, and within the same region, know each other real well. And there's no that's what happens on the field stays on the field to you. And
look, a huge positive to see that. It's both Gary and Jamie, they've been out, they've been shaking hands.
Yeah.
And it's done with. But yeah, look, Greg will be delighted, and there's huge challenges awaiting them now with the winners of these next 3 games to come.
And you can't fault Ballylinan. They fought to the bitter end. They really put it on the line, didn't they? You know, yeah, they really put it on the line. Their game, you know, they really tried really hard, and I suppose their kick-outs, all right, they just didn't seem to be able to get those right, and Graiguecullen capitalised on some of those early in the first half in particular. Yeah,
that's where they're pressed them, Pat. They really put pressure on those kick-outs to get them away. I would say when you weren't winning them clean in the air, it was always going to be a 50-50 battle on the floor.
Yeah, so we're delighted to be joined by Trevor Collins from Graiguecullen. Trevor, you're nice and cold and wet, and that was all we can, just while you gather your breath, what we can say to you from our point of view and from the fans' point of view, the two teams put on a fantastic show there today of football in what must have been absolutely atrocious conditions trying playing, Trevor.
Yeah. Look, it was always going to be a dogged affair. Like, Ballylinan are always a tough side. I think, as far as I can remember, the last time they played us off the field here a couple of years ago, so we had to get one over on them. In conditions like that, even top inter-county players struggle with conditions like that. You know, no ball will stick, and there's always going to be mistakes. So it was always going to be a tough game, and whoever dogged it out till the last minute was going to come away with the win at the end of the day. So thankfully we dug in, we worked hard, and we got our just rewards at the end of the day as well. So.
And you did work hard. You did put an awful lot of ball through your hands. You know, the likes of Martin Doyle, the Aylesburys, they did savage work as we saw here. You know, they're constantly on the ball. Yourself, Dicey, back and forth. You really had to do until the opportunities came up front. You know what I mean? You really had to pick your scores, and then Danny Budger coming. You know, those couple of points that he can score really settle you as well, didn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's great to have players like that. You know, cornerbacks looking to go forward, even in conditions like that. Like, not being afraid to go forward and get on the ball as much as possible. Like, you know, it's great that we're not always depending on the playmakers to kind of get the ball going forward and stuff like that. And then of course having a keeper like Danny Bulger able to settle it down 40-50 yards out, clip the ball over the bar, you know, it's a joy as well to watch.
And we were myself and Alan were here, we were looking to see how, you know, Gary Walsh and Mark Timmins going to turn out, and that turned out to be a real battle. And I suppose on a day like today we'd have to say that Mark Timmins definitely shaded that battle, I think, and you wouldn't expect anything different of him.
Yeah, look, I can't remember the last day I seen Mark have a bad day, in fairness, but then again, like, you know, we can't always leave it up to Timo. You know, we have to stop the ball going.
Is he getting old? Is that what you're saying?
No. Yes, he's getting better as the years go on. But no, we do have to step up outside and stop the ball from going into him to kind of give him a hand as well to make his day a bit easier. Like, you know what I mean? So, but he did well again today.
I won't hold you too long in the wet jersey, Trev, but you know, we don't know when the semi-finals are going to be. You won't mind you're in the pot. You don't care, you know, whenever the draw is made or whatever, yourselves and Ballyfin are in there, so you'll just settle back down and rest now and see what happens. And you don't care, I suppose, who comes out with you once you're in it, did you?
No, you have to beat the best teams at some stage, like, and we're getting plenty of time now to get our shot at a final, so hopefully we go over a semi-final now and we'll enjoy a day out then. Then again, but we won't look too much further in the semi-final. Whoever we have next, we won't look at whoever we get. We don't care, to be honest with you. We'll take whoever comes at us, and hopefully this is our year now.
Trevor, thanks very much, and best of luck for please God, we'll see you inside. Yeah, well done. Alan, come here. So as we get ready, I want to thank Alan Malone. Alan, look, as I said to Trevor there, you know, a real battle for them. They won't mind who they play. You know, they're in the pot, themselves and Ballyfin, and two more to join them today.
Yeah, and look, Ballyfin 2 years in a row getting back to a semi-final is huge from their end. Two dingers of games to follow here. And yeah, Pat, as I said, look, we don't really know how it's going to fare out with the break now with the county championship or the inter-county championship. If that gets off and gets finished, I think that's the plan. That it'll be resumed probably in middle of November maybe. So yeah, and again, that's a huge period of time too. We're talking 6 weeks away, so anything can happen in that period of time with injuries and teams coming in out of form. But like I say, from Graiguecullen Ballylinan end, they're just delighted to get over that and have that break to recover now.
Okay, so we're going to leave you from MW Ironmore Park. We thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the game as much as we did, despite the cold here. But you were at home wrapped up in your duvets or whatever in the fire. But it's great from us here, and we're delighted to be able to stream it to you. And thanks to Paul Darg and his team for making this make this possible. Again, from rainy, windy MW Ironmore Park, we leave you with Graiguecullen advance to the semi-finals. They defeated Ballylinan here today by 3 points. So thank you, and thanks Alan, and see you again shortly. Thank you.